Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Kelly. It's Monday, February 2nd, 2026, and this is your AM Update.
If they do anything bad to our people, they will have to suffer.
President Trump with a stern message for anti-ICE agitators after thousands take to the streets from coast to coast.
I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now.
A narcissistic, loving every minute of his newfound infamy, Don Lemon, released on his own recognizance without entering a plea following his arrest for alleged FACE Act and Klan Act violations. And in a landmark verdict, a jury finds two doctors liable for medical malpractice tied to a double mastectomy performed on a 16-year-old in a first-of-its-kind detransitioner case. We talked to the only journalist in the courtroom for the entire trial. All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM Update. If you are looking to make smarter choices for your health this year, consider Riverbend Ranch. Their steaks are not only delicious, they also contain real high-quality protein that helps fuel your body. Beef is a complete protein and contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs to function. It also keeps you fuller for longer, reducing cravings and snacking. But here's the key, not all beef is created equal. The quality of the beef depends entirely on how it's raised and where it comes from. That's where Riverbend Ranch stands apart. For more than 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been building an elite Black Angus herd, carefully selecting cattle for exceptional flavor and tenderness. All Riverbend Ranch cattle are born and raised right here in the USA. They never use growth hormones or antibiotics, and the beef is processed at the ranch in their award-winning USDA-inspected facility. No shortcuts, no middlemen, just incredible, healthy, and flavorful beef shipped directly to your home. Order today at riverbendranch.com and use the promo code MEGYN, MEGYN, for $20 off your first order. Thousands taking to the street this weekend in cities large and small across the country, part of a so-called national shutdown, urging anti-ICE activists to skip school, stop shopping, and for the few who actually have jobs, to leave work. In Los Angeles, thousands turning out during the day on Friday, chanting and marching with signs reading, quote, "Abolish ICE" and "ICE out of LA." By nightfall, the protests devolving into violence. Agitators gathering outside of the Edward R. Roybal Federal Building in downtown LA, throwing objects at federal agents guarding the facility and vandalizing the building, because nothing says peaceful protest like trying to hurt a federal agent. Social media video showing a group of agitators dragging a dumpster in front of a loading dock as federal agents deployed tear gas and pepper balls in an effort to disperse the crowd. The LAPD also there, declaring a tactical alert, ordering officers to remain on duty regardless of scheduled shift end times. Police say 8 people were arrested, 6 for failure to disperse, 1 for assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer, and 1 for a curfew violation. On Saturday, the unrest flaring up again. Rioters clashing with police, this time leading to dozens of arrests. Back in Minneapolis, ground zero for anti-ICE agitation in the wake of 2 fatal January confrontations with ICE officers, Bruce Springsteen on Friday night making a surprise appearance at a rally, playing his truly terrible melodramatic anthem titled "Streets of Minneapolis."
And there were bloody footprints where mercy should have stood. 2 dead left to die on snow-filled streets. Alex Pretty and Renee Good.
Was Renee Good showing mercy when she almost ran over an ICE agent, Bruce? Friday night in Eugene, Oregon, local police declaring a riot, which effectively recognizes an event as an unlawful assembly, after agitators there breached a federal building. Despite their riot declaration, the locals apparently did nothing to contain the crowd. As in other cities, the day starting off uneventfully with tensions building as nightfall came. Protesters banging on the doors of the building where ICE agents waited inside. The feds deploying tear gas to push back rioters, reports Oregon Public Broadcasting. Eugene police were on the scene, though according to Chief Chris Skinner, local police, quote, did not use any munitions. It's unclear if there were any arrests, but the event leading to a lengthy Truth Social post from President Trump, quote, "Last night in Eugene, Oregon, these criminals broke into a federal building and did great damage. also scaring and harassing the hardworking employees. The post continuing, quote, "Local police did nothing in order to stop it. We will not let that happen anymore." The president revealing that he has, quote, "instructed Kristi Noem that under no circumstances are we going to participate in various poorly run Democrat cities with regard to their protests and or riots unless and until they ask us for help," noting he expects to first hear the word please. Mr. Trump adding that the feds, quote, "will, however, guard and very powerfully any federal buildings that are being attacked by these highly paid lunatics, agitators, and insurrectionists." Mr. Trump expanding on consequences for agitators who attack federal property and agents late Saturday night on Air Force One.
Mr. President, back to your post on ICE protests, what did you mean when you said people will suffer an equal or greater consequence?
If they do anything bad to our people, they will have to suffer. I'm sorry. If they start spitting in people's faces, punching our people, punching our soldiers, our patriots, they will get taken care of in at least an equal way. But they're not going to do that. Like, you see it, the way they treat our people. And I said, you're allowed, if somebody does that, you can do something back. You're not going to stand there and take it. If somebody spits in your face, that will not be a pleasant thing for the person that spits. We're not letting people spit in our soldiers' face as they stand at attention, and they're not allowed to do anything. If they throw bricks at a car, at one of our vehicles, and are very expensive vehicles, they're going to be met with very, very serious force.
YouTube host Don Lemon appearing in a federal courthouse in Los Angeles on Friday afternoon. Lemon arrested overnight on Friday on 2 charges in relation to his participation in a January 18th riot disrupting a religious service at a Christian church in St. Paul. In the courtroom, Lemon wearing the same cream-colored suit he wore at a pre-Grammys party the night before, he was arrested at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Upon entering the courtroom, Lemon reportedly making eye contact with supporter LA Mayor Karen Bass, who winked at him. Prosecutors requesting a $100,000 bond and requesting to limit Lemon's travel to Minneapolis and New York. Defense attorney Marilyn Bednarski arguing her client is not a flight risk, calling him, quote, "one of the most well-known figures in the world." Is he? Magistrate Judge Patricia Donahue denying both requests from prosecutors, even agreeing to allow Lemon to travel overseas this summer for what he called his annual trip to France. The proceeding lasting about 30 minutes with Lemon released on his own recognizance and without even entering a plea. So no plea, no bail, winks with the mayor, and permission to jet off to France, just like any accused felon, right? The arraignment now set for February 9th in Minnesota, Lemon speaking to a gaggle of reporters outside the courthouse, thrilled to learn that people are finally mildly interested in him.
I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever.
Attorney General Pam Bondi Saturday on Fox describing the scene in the church that day and the terror of the people Lemon sought to hold accountable.
They all come in, they were caravanning there, cars bumper to bumper, all of them, the 9 we indicted, all caravanning together. They storm in that church from all directions, start screaming, chants in unison, horrible chants. One man screams, "This ain't the house of God, this is the house of the devil." A little girl later recounted that she thought her mom and dad were going to be killed. Parents were blocked from getting upstairs to get their children out of Sunday school. Some of the lucky women ran out the side door, falling on the ice, legs up in the air. One woman hurt her arm so badly she had to go to the hospital. Parishioners were blocked from exiting the church. Don Lemon, on video, blocked one of them, screaming, yelling at the pastor. That's illegal in this country. When we say God bless America, we mean it. We're going to protect America. And if you do that in any house of worship in this country, we're going to find you, we're going to indict you, and I'm going to prosecute you.
President Trump Saturday night on Air Force One responding to the arrest.
No, I don't know anything about the Don Lemon thing, but he's a sleazebag. Everyone's known that. He's a washed-up. Probably, from his standpoint, the best thing that could happen to him. He's getting, he had no viewers. He was a failure. He was a failed host, and now he's in the news. I didn't know anything about it.
Lemon, in addition to allegedly blocking parishioners while yelling at their pastor, disrupted the Sunday service and then refused to leave, even when explicitly told to do so by the pastor, wrongly declaring that the Constitution allows a protest to occur anywhere, at any time, demanding to have his questions answered, and arguing that the churchgoers, whom he later baselessly accused of being white supremacists, needed to be made, quote, uncomfortable because anti-ICE protesters are feeling, quote, upset and angry. As Lemon watched scared congregants rush to their cars once the service had been prematurely terminated, thanks to Lemon and his pals, trying to evade the angry mob inside, he told his audience that, quote, trauma is, quote, what protesting is about. Even the Washington Post, in an editorial over the weekend, refusing to call Lemon a journalist, instead labeling him an internet provocateur, offering nothing but scorn for his trauma musings, writing, quote, traumatizing children as they practice their faith? That's what it's about? Still, the fired CNN anchor has been capitalizing on the attention, reportedly receiving a standing ovation at a pre-Grammys party on Saturday and hitting the red carpet at the awards show last night. Next up, Lemon's set to appear where else but on Jimmy Kimmel Live tonight. Coming up, a New York jury awards a detransitioner $2 million in a landmark medical malpractice case against so-called gender-affirming care. An exclusive interview with the only reporter to watch the full trial. You know Pure Talk's favorite holiday? It's President's Day, because they believe wireless service should only cost you a couple of presidents, just a Jackson and a Lincoln to be exact. That's $25 a month. And that $25 a month will get you from Pure Talk unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Now compare that to Big Wireless. They would rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day so they can charge your family hundreds every month. They love the Benjamins more and more and more as long as you're paying them. Pure Talk is an American wireless company that supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. So when you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. We all know they're trying to find a polite way not to say you're calling India and speaking with somebody in Bangladesh or someplace like that. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, and plenty of data. No contract, no cancellation fee. What are you waiting for? Go to puretalk.com/Kelly and you'll get 50%, 50, off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Kelly to make the switch to Pure Talk. In a landmark New York case, a jury awarding a 22-year-old biological woman who, for a time, declared herself male, but later detransitioned, $2 million after finding two doctors liable for medical malpractice tied to a double mastectomy performed when the girl was just 16. Jurors were not asked to weigh in on the morality of so-called gender-affirming care, but to decide whether the doctors here met medical standards of care when recommending and performing this permanent and life-altering procedure on the plaintiff, Fox Varian. A Westchester County jury finding psychologist Kenneth Einhorn and plastic surgeon Simon Chin liable for medical malpractice for failing to meet the standard of care when approving and carrying out the surgery for Varian. This case marking the first time in the U.S. that a detransitioner has brought a medical malpractice case to a jury and won. Jurors awarding Varian $1.6 million for pain and suffering and an additional $400,000 for future medical expenses. In December of 2018, at age 15, Varian, a girl with a number of psychiatric issues, including autism, told Dr. Einhorn she might be transgender. Soon after, she began publicly presenting as a male wearing a chest binder. 9 months later, Dr. Einhorn wrote a referral letter for a double mastectomy, or so-called top surgery. After just 2 meetings with plastic surgeon Dr. Simon Chin, only 11 months after she had first decided to live as a boy, Varian's breasts were surgically removed at age 16, before she could vote, before she could legally have a beer. We spoke exclusively to independent journalist Benjamin Ryan of the Hazard Ratio Substack, the only reporter to sit in the courtroom throughout the entire 3-week trial. He tells us the defense initially argued there were no firm standards of care in this field.
It was very difficult to try to pin down the defendants to try to get them to admit there even was a standard of care. Both of them said, well, there isn't a standard of care because this is such a novel and experimental treatment, giving these mastectomies to minors for gender dysphoria. But ultimately, they got worn down by the very aggressive bulldog tactics of the plaintiff's attorney. His name is Adam Deutsch. He's a personal injury attorney in White Plains. And they were ultimately admitted that there were some standards that ultimately they did violate. And the one thing that they really agreed upon was that a young person before having this type of surgery should have a stable gender identity for at least 6 months.
6 months? This is nuts. Ryan says Dr. Einhorn referred Varian to an LGBTQ clinic in Albany to seek specialty care. And at that clinic, Varian opened up about how she was really feeling about her identity.
The real smoking gun in this case was the fact that the psychologist, whose name is Kenneth Einhorn, he was really out of his depth. And he acknowledged that he really didn't have expertise in treating transgender young people. And so he said to Fox Varian and to her mother, you should go to seek specialist transgender care at what's called the Pride Center up in Albany. It was a very long drive. He went there only twice because it was such a burden to get there. But while she was there, this was in July of 2019, 4.5 months before the surgery, she told the Pride Center things that she hadn't told her mother and that she really hadn't been honest about with her psychologist. She said that she was unsure about her gender identity. And crucially, she felt pressure to decide by people all around her.
Ryan tells us those comments should have raised some red flags.
Kenneth Einhorn, the psychologist, never asked the Pride Center for the notes from those sessions that she went there for. And so that meant that he didn't know that she felt this way. And that meant that Dr. Chin, the plastic surgeon, never heard about it either. And Dr. Chin testified that had he known that only 4.5 months before he ultimately did this surgery, that she was still feeling unsure about her gender identity, he wouldn't have conducted the surgery. So that was a real linchpin in the case.
Ryan tells us plastic surgeon Dr. Simon Chin never bothered to speak directly with Dr. Einhorn.
We met with her twice during the 9-week period leading up to the mid-December 2019 mastectomy that he performed on Fox Varian. And he was very proud of himself. He said, on the stand, I met with her not only once, but twice before I had her breast removed when she was in her mid-teens. And he just looked at this letter and he made a presumption, and that was a huge indictment upon him by the plaintiff's attorney that both he and Einhorn, the psychologist, made assumptions and inferences and didn't bother to communicate with each other directly. He just presumed, the correct diagnosis must be gender dysphoria, but neither he nor Dr. Einhorn ever wrote the diagnosis gender dysphoria anywhere in their case notes, despite the fact that it is widely accepted that that is the required diagnosis for having this very surgery.
Varian testifying to feeling immediate regret from the moment she took off the bandages. The shock of the procedure, combined with embarrassment, kept her from being open about her feelings for 3 years before ultimately deciding to embrace reality that she is, of course, a girl. Ryan says more trials like this one are coming.
There are a lot of detransitioners who are waiting in the wings. They filed lawsuits, about 28 all told. I've spoken with some legal experts who say that this will encourage other lawsuits to come forward. They'll feel more emboldened, and that could in turn drive up malpractice insurance rates and make this field more forbidding financially for people to work in. And it might also scare away certain providers who are afraid of reputational damage and just the general stress and horror of being sued.
Good. Let's pray that's true. Wow. And that'll do it for your AM Update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the MK Show, live on SiriusXM's The Megyn Kelly Channel, 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.